Yishai Fleisher. He's the spokesman of the Jewish community of Hebron. He was an advocate, the Aliyah advocate in my mind, before it was a cool thing. And much of the credit for my Aliyah, or blame for my Aliyah, is exactly in the hands of Yishai Fleisher, who has inspired me and many others to come and make their lives in Israel. Yishai, if we could start with you. How do we facilitate Aliyah? How do we make this happen? What do you have to say?
Shalom, everybody. Thank you, Ari. And thank you to my wonderful co-panelists who are all heroes in my life. I want to first thing thank Tzvi Fishman, indefatigable Tzvi Fishman, great dancer as well, and a great author. My kids love his books. And my good friend Josh Wander, who's a Jew who's been everywhere and does everything to rescue and strengthen Jews. And he's a good friend of mine. I was just at his house for a Shvi Shel Pesach on the Mount of Olives. And of course, Jonathan Pollard, the Asir Tzion, whose picture and articles I had on my tefillin in my backpack. And I have to apologize that I was one of the people that may have led to a shortening of the life of Esther Pollard. And the way I did that is one time I got so upset about the situation of Jonathan Pollard that I wrote an article called Jonathan Pollard is Dead. And the point of the article was that how would you feel if you read this article? And Esther Pollard called me, and she was flipping out and livid and about to kill me. And I said, Esther, I could tell from what you're saying that you didn't read the article itself. Read the article. She called me back 10 minutes later, and she was apologetic. But it really upset her. And that was the point, was to upset our generation about Jonathan. And there he is, alive and well. So Baruch Hashem, I want to clap for that. A great man who was an Asir Tzion and now continues to fight for Zion. When I was at Yeshiva University, I was writing for a newspaper called The Commentator. I wrote an article saying, why isn't Yeshiva University doing more for Aliyah? And I had suggestions, practical suggestions. One of them was that we should have career placement for people in Israel. Why should we just have career placement for America? Could it be that an Orthodox Jew or a Jew learning at YU may be interested in living in Israel, the most exciting project of the Jewish people in 2,000 years? So I recommended that the school would have also career placement. Zev Ornstein, who was the head of the Israel Club, read that article, was like, that's a great idea, went to the Jewish agency, got them to send a shaliach every 2 weeks to help with job placement in Israel, and got YU to give him an office. Okay? It was a simple idea. I wrote it. He fulfilled it. All right? So it got me always thinking that we could do practical things to move things forward. I brought a little show and tell. When I was at YU, we made these pins. And we handed out about 50,000. I didn't know the first thing about fundraising. They said, I'm making Aliyah. You see that? I'm making Aliyah. Here they are. And I have a few during Pesach cleaning. During Pesach cleaning, I found some extra pins. So I have a few to give out, some of the classic I'm making Aliyah pins. Also, Aliyah Revolution. We came up with that phrase. And later on, as Ari remembers, it became a phrase in the news that CNN covered it. And I had one more, which was called, for those people who made Aliyah, I had a pin that said, keep making Aliyah. All right, that's us, all right? So we keep making Aliyah today. But we handed these out. We were trying to make Aliyah cool. And that's what we did. We handed these out on the subways. We'd see somebody who was Jewish, we'd hand one out. And when Jews would refuse one of these, I would be like, I wanted to make another pin that said, I love Gullus, okay? But I never made that. I wanted to be like, oh, take this one instead. But we did make, at the time there was the Got Milk ads, we got Home. And we were just trying to do everything to get it into consciousness. Get it into consciousness. That's what we're trying to do all the time. Because notwithstanding the very correct things that Jonathan said, that there's a lot of problems, it's still a dream of 2,000 years. You just got to make it cool. And that's one of the greatest challenges out there, which people like Yehuda are doing, is just making it cool. Practical ideas very quickly. A campus movement needs to be started. I tried to start it in earlier years. It didn't work out, but I think now's the time to do it. A campus movement. Campus is a place where people are rebellious and they're thinking about their future. This is a great time to catch them and to say to them, come build the Jewish state. Campus is the place to do it. Harness that revolutionary atmosphere and get them to think differently. You also have to have good options for them to come to Israel and live, like practical options. You know, we already have beautiful women, so that's great. We have great food, that's great. You know, but like, okay, but you need a house and you need a job. And for example, I have a friend who created a yeshiva called Torah Tech. This is half-day Torah, 1 day Torah, 1 day, apprenticeship in high-tech companies. I sat with these kids. They are making their future. They're connecting with Israeli companies. They will make a future here. The other thing that I want to mention, which is not represented here at all, is a humongous swath of Jews who can make Aliyah, would make Aliyah, and that's Haredi Jews. Haredi Jews, ultra-Orthodox Jews. The truth of the matter is, if you push on them enough, they will see the light of Eretz Yisrael. I worked at Nefesh B'Nefesh for a few months, and one of the ideas that I had was, let's start an office in Brooklyn. Bug them. That's what I've learned about Orthodox Jews. Bug them enough about Israel, show them in the Torah, it will start to seep in to some percentage level. If I had time right now, and I recommend somebody else does this, I would make stickers. I would go to Brooklyn where there's about 800,000 Jews. Brooklyn is still the heart of the American Jewish world, especially the Haredi world. Sticker every place. Come up with don't talk blue and white. Talk black and white. You know what I mean? Talk Haredi talk. Talk their language. Don't sell it to them like, Herzl and Ben Gurion. They don't like that brand. Sell it to them with Gedolim and Yeshivas and Torah. Sell it to them that way. I don't care. I'm selling Eretz Yisrael, not Medinat Yisrael. You don't like blue and white? You don't have to have it. So I would really go into Brooklyn and just bug them all the way. I'm finishing up. Speaking of campuses, what was, if you would say, what was the most successful part of Israeli education, propaganda, hasbara throughout this war? I think we've done an abysmal job. But one element that we've done a great job is in songs. There's been some amazing war songs. Amazing. My kids know Harbu Darbu. They're like, Harbu Darbu and Am Yisrael Chai by Yair Golan. What's his name? Not Yair Golan. What's his name? The other Golan. Eyal Golan. What a song. Ribono Shel Olam. It's like, wow. Let's talk to one of these guys. Let's make an Aliyah song, an Aliyah anthem. When I was in my other hat, I made a CD with great Aliyah songs. My idea was that the CD would live in somebody's car and bug them until they would make Aliyah, and such was the case for many, many people. Let's get artists to make songs, anthems. Make it cool. Make it cool. If Eyal Golan made an Aliyah song, French Jews would overcome all the challenges. I came up with an idea, which is an Aliyah boat. The idea was that the Aliyah would take place. How many people make Aliyah from America a year? 2,000 to 3,000. How much does one of these nice cruise ships take? About 2,000 to 3,000 people. Wow! Can you imagine the Jews waving goodbye to Mrs. Liberty, to the Statue of Liberty out there, and saying thank you for all the good that you've done for us, and now we go on to the Eretz Yisrael. I mean, that's the way to think, is to make it dramatic, to make it exciting, to make it a generational thing. If I saw a picture in the New York Times of Jews waving goodbye to Lady Liberty, that would be amazing. I actually researched it. It was when I was working on BN. Not an easy project. It would cost a lot of money, but we would have ulpanim on the boat, and we'd chop in good speakers and all that kind of stuff. It could be an amazing thing, a generational thing. We've got to do stuff that will, wow. We got to make it wow. We got to make it exciting. We got to make it cool. And of course, as much as possible, we got to make our country as welcoming as possible, make it the best country that we can. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Yeah, Yishai actually taught me a lesson that I just want to say here very quickly, because I think it's important that all of us know this. I didn't understand the concept of individual empowerment, I think, really until I met Yishai and the concept of activism, because I remember when we were talking, you came up with this idea of Aliyah Revolution, you were pushing it, and I was like, okay, good luck, Aliyah Revolution, good for you. And then you just printed up, maybe you wrote up like 10 posters, you brought it to an Aliyah arrival, and then 2 days later I got a link. I'm Christiana Amanpour with CNN International. In Tel Aviv we have an Aliyah Revolution. It's like, what is going on? Like that, all of us here may seem like it's a small group of passionate activists, but each one of us can really change the whole picture, the whole story. And with that, I want to introduce Eve Harrow.